NFL second round mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we are going to take a look at what's going to happen leading up to the Saints pick at 40. Now, depending on when you see this, the NFL draft beginning again, second and third rounds on Friday night. So let's take a look here. The Saints go Kelvin Banks in the first round, pick 9. If you want my full review of that, it's on the channel. Go check it out. All right, let's start with Cleveland. Now, if you turn on ESPN, Mel Kiper is going to be crying all over himself saying that this should be Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I think Cleveland has pick 33, pick 36. There are a lot of really good players on the board at the beginning of the second round. Like, there is some legitimate talent here. Mike Green, thought to be a top 15, top 20 pick. Will Johnson, thought to be a top 15, top 20 pick. Luther Burden, thought to be a first-round pick. I mean, even going down to like Trey Amos and I mean, some of the wide receivers still here. Like, this is a very deep early first or early second round. I don't think you take Sanders here. I think the Browns are looking around. They got picks from the Jacksonville trade, so maybe they're thinking, look, we got time. Like, we can evaluate next year's quarterback class. We can evaluate the next year, whatever. Let's just keep getting as many good players as possible. So the two areas that I would consider are wide receiver and defensive line. Wide receiver, because that was their original plan, right? Their original plan was Travis Hunter, which is a wide receiver. So, or much more so than a cornerback, right? Mason Graham, Myles Garrett, another defensive lineman, pretty damn strong. Okay, so I think Cleveland goes Luther Burden here. Fun fact with Luther Burden, he tweeted out or put on Instagram or something that he was at the gym or at the field working out at midnight after not going in the first round. So I think they go Luther Burden here, which if you're just getting really good players, that's what a team should do. I like the pick. So I'm going to go Luther Burden here for Cleveland. All right, the Texans traded out of the first round. The Texans wanted an offensive lineman. They desperately need an offensive lineman. This one is not hard. Whoever you think is your highest graded out offensive lineman is who it's going to be. The highest ADP here is Ursary. So we'll go Ursary here for the Texans. All right. Titans, Cam Ward. Okay. Titans could do a lot as well. Let's see. What are we thinking here for the Titans? So, again, you've got talent all over the place. You've got Mike Green, Will Johnson, Ezraku, Amos. Now, you do have Cam Ward. So, the thoughts are, how do you make Cam Ward good? How do you make Cam Ward successful? What do you do there to insulate, protect, and develop your superstar? Which would lead you to a playmaker, right? It would lead you to a wide receiver, lead you to a running back. Well, I would argue Tennessee is kind of good there. Like, Tennessee has Calvin Ridley, they have Tyler Lockett, they have Tony Pollard. Like, they have bodies, right? So maybe they get away from the playmaker thing, which I wouldn't blame them, but maybe because some of these guys are still on the board, maybe this is where you get Mike Green or Ezraku. Let's go Mike Green here. Let's go Mike Green. He finally gets off the board. All right, back to Cleveland. Already talked about it. I think Cleveland wants an edge here, or would go defensive line. They took wide receiver, have Mason Graham. I don't think they're going quarterback. If they did go quarterback, would they even go Sanders? Would they go Milroe here? I don't know. So let's go. But then again, it's like at some point, Will Johnson has to go off the board. I do love the idea of Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, Ezraku. Like, I do love that idea. Let's go Ezraku. Why not? All right. The Raiders, okay, they were going to go Mimbu or Banks. That was the idea. Genty falls. They get Genty. They're going to come back around. You have Genty. You already wanted the lineman. Go ahead and protect your investment. Again, this one I think is pretty easy. They are going to go some combination of whoever they have highest on the board, whether it's Mbao, Jonah, Tripio, Tate Ratledge. Like, who is it? You can throw a dart. We'll go Jonah here. Patriots, I think, is pretty easy as well. So the Patriots have been saying this whole time they want a wide receiver, right? We heard about them maybe trading for A.J. Brown. We heard about maybe them trading down with the Bears and getting DJ Moore. So I think you go wide receiver here. Now, this is where you have to start looking at body type. So, like, if you're looking at, let's see, does this have, okay. So, Ayamanor, 6'2", 210. Higgins, 6'4", 215. Beck, 6'2", 215. Royals, 6 foot. Williams, 6 foot. So, do they want a bigger body type? If they want a big body type, it's Jaden Higgins. Now, if you're thinking about this for the Saints, this is controversial yet brave. This is not good for you because you want Higgins. I think the best case scenario for the Saints is Jaden Higgins at 40. All right. Do the Saints make a move here? Do the Saints move up in order to take Higgins? I wouldn't be mad about that. All right. If they got to shell out a little bit to jump ahead of the Patriots, I think those two are going to be vying for it. I would love Ayamanor as well for the Saints. I think you flip these two, like, either way. I'm not going to do trades, so I don't think the Patriots would pass up on Higgins. So we're going to go Higgins here. All right, the Bears are up. I'm going to give you a surprise one here. Ben Johnson does not like DeAndre Swift. All right. That's a fact. He doesn't like DeAndre Swift. Go look at the track record. DeAndre Swift was in Detroit. Ben Johnson tells him to get lost. Ben Johnson comes to Chicago. We know they desperately wanted Ashton Genty. I think they go running back here. I think they go running back. You don't think. You're going to say Cam Scatterbo, right? I think they go Trevion Henderson here. Henderson's been shooting up the boards. I think it makes sense. I think they go Henderson here. He's their guy. So I'm going to go Trevion Henderson for the Bears. All right, now the Saints here, two options. Option one, do they go wide receiver? Now, we just talked about it. Higgins is off the board. If Higgins is on the board, I think they should sprint to the podium and take him. Cornerback is also really strong, and we know the Saints were thinking about Jahdae Barron, thinking about Will Johnson in their early draft prep. Will Johnson still being on the board is kind of crazy. Like, you have a guy who, whether it was Fugazi or not, you have a guy who you were really entertaining at 9. Now he's there at 40. That's pretty nice. All right. Now, Will Johnson, I am down on Will Johnson, okay, because you got a guy who didn't run the 40, didn't work out, didn't do the combine, questionable long speed. All right. You got some real concerns about his long speed. And you got a guy who was not good last year or didn't have a great year last year. Didn't play for most of the year, battling turf toe. Will Johnson's entire draft is built around, do you believe his performance from the national championship season is who he is? Or does the medical, the no workout, the long speed, does that keep you off Will Johnson? I tell you this right now, I love Trey Amos. I tell you this right now, I love Siobhan Ravel. There are some stars back here. Pick 40 is the most important pick of the draft for the Saints because you come out of this with Will Johnson, Trey Amos, Ayamanor, Ravel, Jalen Royals, Trey Harris, Jalen Noel. I mean, now we're getting kind of deep. Like Savion Williams, maybe you can get later, but there are some stars there. I like Trey Amos a lot. I would probably take Trey Amos over Will Johnson. I don't know if the Saints would. I would take Ayamanor over both of them. I don't know if the Saints would. All right, so on one hand, I could give you the pick that I think the Saints would do, and then the pick I would do, okay? If it was me, I would probably take Ayamanor. You could talk me into, like, Jalen Noel. You could talk me into a couple receivers. But I would take him or Amos. But I think the Saints here would take Will Johnson. Simply because I think the board, I think it's just one of those things where they're looking at the board. They can't, you can't get away from that value. If you're sitting here and you're like, man, this guy could be a top 10 guy, and now we have a chance to take him, I think you probably do take him. And it is a position of need for them. Now all of a sudden you're going into the season with Alante, Kool-Aid, Will Johnson. Okay, right? So I'm not going to say I love it, but I understand it. All right, so I think the Saints go Will Johnson. If they don't go Will Johnson, I think they take a look at Trey Amos. I think they take a look at the wide receiver class, but I think they go Will Johnson here. All right. So we'll stop it there. But that's what I think. Can we go to this draft? So that's how I think the first 8 picks of the second round is going to go. Now, again, guys, like the further you get away from the first 10 picks, the more variability it is. So when I throw like Mike Green in there or Ezraku in there or Jonah or Ursary or Burden, it can be any of those guys, right? Like if the Titans took Ezraku instead of Green, okay. If the Texans love Jonah over Ursary, or if they love Imbao, or if they love whoever, you can mix and match. The later you get, it's the more like team preference is a really big deal. Same like Trevion Henderson versus Quinshon Judkins. Same with Jaden Higgins versus whoever else we had up there, Jack Beck or what have you. So, but this is the general direction I think these teams will go, which makes sense. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, what about Shedeur with the Saints? I don't think the Saints. I think if you pass on a quarterback at 9 and then you don't try and come back into the first and get your guy, I think at that point you're okay with waiting for Tyler Shuck or Kyle McCord or whoever falls. I don't think that translates into taking them at 40, especially when the other guys are there. I mean, it's the same thing I was saying with Cleveland. If the board is barren, then yeah, okay, take a quarterback. But how do you turn down Will Johnson? How do you turn down Jaden Higgins? How do you turn down Mike Green? Or like, how do you turn down these guys for Jalen Milroe at 40, or for Jalen Milroe at 33, or for Shedeur Sanders at 33? Like, I think at that point, you're just acquiring picks. Like, at that point, you're just trying to get these star players, not star, but just like high-level starter players, impact players. And then if you got to roll the dice with Will Howard or roll the dice with Tyler Shuck or roll the dice with whoever later on, fine. But I just don't think it lines up. I do not think it lines up for Sanders or any of those guys this early. Now, where could they go? I think the Rams could be a spot. I think if we get a little deeper here, maybe a trade back in, but yeah, I mean, if they fall past 40, then it's kind of hard to imagine. It's kind of hard to imagine that one gets taken in the second round. I mean, unless, like I said, LA is one of the only teams that I think is willing to take a quarterback, let them sit, go through the process. I don't really see another one. And then you're talking about third round. And I mean, honestly, like, again, I think it's really hard to make a case for the quarterbacks with how good the first 10 picks in the second round are. I mean, look, we just went through 8 picks, okay? Amos is still on the board. Ayamanor is still on the board. Beck is still on the board. Ravel's still on the board. Like, Scadaboo's still on the board. Jalen Royals. I mean, Kyle Williams, star. Not star, but stud. Trey Harris, Quinshon Judkins, Emin Worry. I mean, Emin Worry's still there. The Saints could take him. I think they'd rather a cornerback than a safety, but, I mean, there's a lot of players out there. A lot. Do the Saints look at... Here's another one for you. Do the Saints look at Fannin Jr. in the third? The Saints could probably a lot of people thought they could have taken a tight end at 9. What if they end up with Fannin Jr. in the 3rd? Guy posted a 91.7 grade against Penn State and an 89.2 grade against A&M. Pretty sporty. Those are like 2 top 5 defenses in college football. Okay. So, do you take him? All of a sudden now, it's like, damn. If the Saints come out of the first 3 picks, or whenever you end up taking Fannin, but if they come out of those picks and you're looking at Banks, Johnson, Fannin, Savion Williams, whoo, baby. I mean, how strong would that be? Like, let's reset this real quick. Let's reset this. Let's go to the mock draft simulator, reset this. Let's just do the Saints. Rounds. What? How do I do this? 1, 2, 3? All right, so if you do... All right, so then let's say you take... Oh, wait, they already took Johnson? Ah, damn, I should have done it. I should have done everybody. I messed this up. Let's say you go... Did Amos go? Damn, Amos went too. All right, I'm going to put Siobhan Ravel here, but let's say it's Will Johnson. Okay? So let's say Ravel goes, Will Johnson, then you come back around round 3. Damn, they're not going to make this easy for me. And then let's say you take... Did Savion Williams go? Let's say you take Williams. Let's see. Is Fannin still in there? Or do they take Fannin? This was a disaster. Pro Football Focus got me. All right, he's there. Okay. So let's say now, right, you come out of the 3rd round and you're looking at Kelvin Banks, Will Johnson, Savion Williams, Harold Fannin. All right? Or whoever you want. It doesn't have to be Savion Williams. It doesn't have to be whoever you want. All right? Give me a wide receiver and then Fannin. That's pretty damn sporty for a first 4. And that's a lot of needs. Now you got a couple of pass catchers, you got your tackle, you got a cornerback. Not bad. All right. So that's what I think is going to happen in the 2nd round. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I will see you in the next video.